All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. Today, we are diving into a story that, well, let's just say it's pretty epic. It's the story of Prophet Nuh. Peace be upon him.
It's a story that really, I think, transcends time and place, you know?
Totally, yeah. And we're going to be looking at it through the lens of the book Story of Prophet Nuh
Mm.
by Ramiz Abid. It's part of a really cool series called The Thinking Muslim. Have you heard of it?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I've read a few from that series. Really insightful.
Yeah, they are. Okay, so the story of Prophet Nuh, it's about faith, it's about warnings, and, well, I don't want to spoil it, but let's just say things get a little wet.
A little wet is an understatement. We're talking a world-altering flood here. But before we get to that, I think it's important to set the stage, right?
Right, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So paint us a picture. What was the world like back then?
Well, think about it. Humanity had really strayed from the path, you know? They had turned away from worshiping Allah and started worshiping idols.
Idols, huh? So, like, straying pretty far.
Big time. It was a serious departure from, the true faith. And that's where Prophet Nuh comes in. He was chosen by Allah to guide his people back to the right path.
Yeah, to bring them back. So what was he like, this Prophet Nuh?
He was known for being this incredible speaker, super eloquent, and get this, he was incredibly patient. I mean, you really have to be when your mission lasts for 950 years.
Whoa, hold on. 950 years. That's like almost a millennium. I mean, that's got to be some kind of record, right?
It's definitely up there. It's mind-blowing when you think about it, to dedicate your life to a message for that long, facing constant resistance.
Resistance. Oh, yeah, you mentioned that. What kind of resistance did he face?
I mean, imagine preaching for 950 years and people are just like not having it.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
Some people did follow him, of course, but a lot of them, well, they mocked him, they ignored him. The book even says some of them would put their fingers in their ears to block out his words.
Wow. Their fingers in their ears. That's pretty hardcore, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
they were really trying to shut him out.
Exactly. They were actively choosing not to listen. Which makes you wonder, what makes people so resistant to change, even when the stakes are so high?
That's a great question. And it wasn't just like abstract preaching, was it? He was warning them about something very specific, right?
Oh, absolutely. Prophet Nuh wasn't just talking about faith in, a general sense. He was delivering a divine warning. Allah was going to punish them if they didn't change their ways. It was about real-world consequences.
So there was a sense of urgency to his message, like, hey, guys, this isn't a joke. Things are going to get serious.
Yeah, you could say that. And you know what that punishment turned out to be? The Great Flood. Talk about consequences.
The flood, wow. That brings us to, I guess, the most well-known part of the story.
Yeah.
But before the flood, there's the ark, right? Allah commands Nuh to build this massive ark.
Yeah, and it wasn't just like, hey, build an ark. Allah gave him super specific instructions on how to build it.
Detailed blueprints, the whole 9 yards.
Pretty much. But can you imagine while he's building this giant ark, everyone's laughing at him?
Right.
Like, what is this guy doing? How did he not just give up?
It's hard to wrap my head around that kind of perseverance.
Yeah.
Building this huge, strange boat, everyone making fun of you, and you just keep going. That's incredible faith.
Right. Talk about commitment. And, that's something we can all learn from, I think. How to stay focused on our goals, even when people doubt us, even when things get tough.
Absolutely. Okay, so the ark is built. And then?
Well, then comes the flood.
Yeah, then the flood hits. And it wasn't just a little rain shower, The book describes water pouring from the sky and gushing up from the earth.
Yeah.
Everything was submerged.
Everything. Wow. So the people who didn't listen,
They didn't make it. Only those who believed in Prophet Nuh and boarded the ark were saved. And, of course, the pairs of animals that he brought on board.
Right, the animal. It's like this whole reset button for the world. A new beginning. Exactly. A fresh start for humanity and the animal kingdom. The ark eventually landed on Mount Judy, and you can imagine the relief and gratitude they must have felt.
Yeah, talk about a second chance.
Yeah.
So what happens next? They're safe. They're on dry land. What does Prophet Nuh do?
Well, he releases the animals, symbolizing that new beginning we were talking about. But importantly, he also delivers a final message to his children.
A final message. What was it?
It was simple but powerful. Worship Allah alone.
Worship Allah alone. After everything they'd been through, after the flood, after the ark, that was his final message.
It really shows you what was at the core of his mission, right? To bring people back to the worship of Allah and to pass that message on to future generations.
Wow. We've talked about Prophet Nu's faith, his perseverance, the people's resistance. But what about the ark itself? I mean, it must symbolize something more than just a boat, right?
Yeah, you're right. The ark is a really powerful symbol. It represents salvation, of course, but also preparation. It's a reminder that sometimes we need to take concrete steps to protect ourselves and those we care about, even if those steps seem unconventional, or even if people make fun of us for it.
That's a really interesting point. The ark as a symbol of preparation. Hmm. Well, we've covered a lot of ground here. This story is it's amazing. A 950-year mission, a world-altering flood, a message that's still relevant today. What do you think is the biggest takeaway for our listeners, even if, they don't share the same faith as Prophet Noah?
That's a good question. I think it really challenges us to think about how we respond to warnings, how we face opposition when we stand up for what we believe in, and how we learn from the mistakes of the past. It's a story about faith, sure, but it's also about the human condition, the choices we make.
No, totally.
Yeah.
It makes you think, right? Like,
Yeah.
what would I have done in that situation if I were facing rejection for 950 years? Could I have kept going? It's something to think about. It's something to maybe even learn from.
Exactly. It's a powerful story that can resonate with everyone, regardless of their background.
So for everyone listening, I want to leave you with a question. How can we apply the lessons of this story? The lessons of faith, perseverance, and, well, maybe even a little bit of ark building to our own lives? How can we face our own challenges, big or small, with that same kind of strength and conviction?
That's a great question to ponder. Food for thought, right?
Absolutely. Food for thought. And on that note, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for listening, everyone. And keep diving.